In today's video, you join me in beautiful Helsinki, Finland, where we're going to be trying out the short-haul Finnair Business Class for the very first time. As ever, particularly in these short-haul videos, we're going to be asking whether the upcharge is truly worth it. So without further ado, let's get into it. Now, beyond pizza vending machines and a myriad of shops just opening up for the first time, as I arrived in Helsinki, I only had one thing really on my mind. After all, this is a business class review. We're going to be heading over to the lounge. Now, as we head down to the lounge, you'll see some advertisements on the left-hand side for some of the newer cabins that Finnair have, both on the premium economy and business class front. Thankfully, I've reviewed both of them on the channel and I'll pop the links down in the description below. Now, I did mention that we were arriving into the lounge particularly early. That morning, it was actually a little after 5:30 AM, and thankfully the lounge was already open and gloriously quiet. Now, as part of today's video, I'm keen to give you a really good insight into the lounge. This is actually one of my favourite One World lounges anywhere across the globe. It has such a good range of different facilities, from the toilets to the showers that we'll do a little bit later. Such a variety also of seating areas and some really very good food options. One of my favourite features of this lounge is the central bar area. Visually, it's stunning and it really does tie everything together really very well indeed. Now, given how early it was that morning, we won't be frequenting the bar, but nonetheless, I was keen to show you that. Another aspect that I'm a fan of is the variety of different seating areas. I've used this lounge an awful lot over the years, both for work and also for pleasure. So whether you're looking for a slightly more cocoon style of seat, for that all-important business core, or something more relaxed, the lounge has you covered. As already mentioned, the food and beverages are a real strong suit of this particular lounge. As I arrived into the lounge that morning, the breakfast options were just being rolled out, whether it was cooked options, more continental, cold meats, cheeses, or even sweeter options. It had everything covered. I do think by business class standards, this is the best lounge I've ever been to in Europe, I have to say. On the drinks front, there's a real variety as well, both on the alcoholic front and also on the non-alcoholic front as well. Some really good help yourself coffee type areas and also soft drink areas in addition to those alcoholic options featured. Next up, it was a shower before then heading back to the lounge to chill out before the flight. Alrighty, so nicely settled into the Finnair lounge, not quite champagne o'clock. Time's just gone 7 o'clock in the morning, but maybe a couple of glasses on board. Hope you enjoyed the little tour of the lounge. In the next scene, we'll be jumping aboard to London. So without further ado, let's get to it. Alrighty, so London Heathrow bound, we're going to be jumping aboard this Finnair Airbus A321 aircraft, and as I went through to the boarding lounge, there was a separate, more exclusive section, you could say, for the business class passengers. This was also adorned with a really nice little view of the aircraft, but it wasn't long as I sat down before we were then invited to head down that jet bridge and check out this cabin for the very first time. Now, as ever, when it comes to European business class, sadly here the seats are laid out in a 3-3 configuration with the middle seats blocked. Now, true to Finnair's style, they go for this quite light overall look. I actually quite like the look of the seats that they use. I think when it contrasts to other airlines across Europe, British Airways for example, I don't think the seats look quite as fancy. Here's a little bit of an insight from a recent trip that I took with British Airways, but I'd encourage your thoughts down below. We'll get into the legroom a little bit later. For now, as I arrived at the seat, there was a small water bottle awaiting business class passengers. Again, not the peak of absolute luxury, but it's little things like this that really make a difference. Alrighty, so that's us aboard with Finnair as ever with European business class. It's not massively overwhelming, but so far, so good. With us now fully settled into the cabin, it's a good opportunity to check out a few more of the features. Firstly, On the entertainment front, sadly, no seatback entertainment screens, but there was Wi-Fi on board, and that's something we'll get into a little bit later on. But for now, a quick word on the all-important legroom. For reference, I'm 180 centimeters tall and I had no issue at all in these seats. You can see here from the cross shot both how quiet the cabin was, but actually how relatively generous the legroom was that day. I have to say this was one of the best, if not the best, I've ever experienced across European business class. Now, talking about an incredibly quiet aircraft, this then led for a very lightweight takeoff and a very quick ascent that morning. It was quite an interesting one, I must say, so I'm going to leave the full footage in. We'll get skybound en route to London. Now, I must say, one of the most significant plus points of flying with Finnair is the ability to transit through Helsinki. I love it on each and every occasion I visit. That morning, as we departed out, my goodness, were the views absolutely phenomenal. As we took to those sunny Nordic skies, there was then the in-flight service slowly starting to come around. It all kicked off with a freshen up towel. This was a very good start to my time in the air with them. Next up, we'll spend a couple of minutes looking at the entertainment. Now, as mentioned, no seatback entertainment system. There was, however, Wi-Fi. So this was where you can track the aircraft, see exactly how you're getting on the route, and access the onboard internet. Now, messaging was free of charge, so that's a thumbs up on that particular front. There was then full flight and 1 hour Wi-Fi access, and as ever with Finnair, not particularly cheap, but at least it was there and fully available. Next up, let's get fully immersed into the world of food and beverages on board with them. To start, it was a small snack and also a range of drinks. I particularly like this glassware. It's an area where Finnair do really very well, so let's give that a little try to see how that goes down to start with. Yep, top quality on the juice front at least. On the food front, I then had a chicken and yogurt to start and also a prawn pasta. It was indeed a single tray service, but I must say it was presented well and tasted really very good. It was up there with some of the best other business class catering I've had short haul in Europe, at least indeed. Now, we'll get started with the taste test just so you can see it with the chicken first. And yep, thumbs up of approval on that front. I must say there was also then top-ups of the drinks and also the bakery items throughout the meal service, and the prawn pasta also got a thumbs up from me as well. That moment during the flight, we had some fantastic views down over, I think this was Stockholm. It really was a beautiful day for flying. Most unexpectedly, there was then a follow-up service consisting of more baked goods. This was actually, as you can see, much more on the sweeter side, and also more drinks being brought around. I have to say, from Finnair, yes, I know the cabin crew weren't particularly rushed given how quiet this cabin was, but it was a really very good service from them. In terms of the bathrooms on board, yeah, your standard Airbus A320 family fare, nothing particularly fancy on this front. And as I headed back through the cabin, it gave me the opportunity to give you a little bit more of a tour around and get on to those all-important creature comforts. One of the additional elements that were awaiting business class passengers on board was a small blanket, a little touch from them, but I think something that particularly on those Nordic routes really helps. When it comes to the seats themselves, this is the extent of the recline that's available to you, so you can see here both from the reclining passengers point of view, but then also what it's like for the passengers behind. Given the fact, however, it was so quiet on that day, I wasn't in the mood for reclining. I was stretching out over 3 seats, and my goodness, was it good. So as we make our final descent down into London's Heathrow, it's a good time for me to loop back to the start of the video where I posed the question, is the upcharge to business class on these short-haul routes really worth it? Well, here's my 2 pence. If you don't have any status whatsoever and you don't get the lounge access, nor the priority check-in or the priority boarding, if it's around £100, €100 more on top of the economy fare, it's probably worth it. Any more than that? No, I don't think it probably is. As ever, I'd love to hear all of your thoughts down in the comments below, and all that's left for me to say is to thank you so much for watching today's video. Loads more upcoming on the channel, so stay tuned and I'll see you in another one real soon.